Dost thou think, Claudio, if I would yield him my virginity, thou mightst be free?
Heavens, it cannot be.
This night's the time.
Just before this moment, Isabella has had the awful proposition from Angelo, which is yield up your body to my will, or I will kill your brother, and in the most horrible and slowest and most painful death that I can think of.
What are you expecting her to do?
Well, I'm hoping that she will come in and tell me, we've got your pardon, you aren't going to be killed tomorrow, and you're going to be free.
My last line of the previous scene that you've seen with Isabella, she says, I'll fit his mind to death for his soul's rest. So she's decided that she's going to come in and prepare him for death because the other option is not an option.
Yep.
However, I do feel when she's confronted with that, the conflict re-emerges of what she knows she wants to do, but how much she can hold on to that when you're confronted with your brother.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you set on.
Is there no remedy?
None. But such remedy as to save a head, to cleave a heart in twain.
But is there any?
Yes. Brother, you may live. There is a devilish mercy in the judge. If you'll implore it, that will free your life, but fetter you till death.
Perpetual durance.
Why just perpetual durance? A restraint, that all the world's fastidiity you had, to a determined scope.
But in what nature?
In such a one as you consenting to it would bark your honour from that trunk you bear and leave you naked.
Let me know the point.
Oh, I do fear thee, Claudio. And I quake, lest our feverous life shouldst entertain. And 6 or 7 winters more respect than a perpetual honour. Darest thou die? The sense of death is most in apprehension. And the poor beetle that we tread upon in corporal sufferance finds a pang as great as when a giant dies.
Why give you me this shame? Think you I can a resolution fetch from flowery tenderness? If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride and hug it in mine arms.
There spake my brother. There, my father's grave did utter forth a voice. Yes, thou must die. Thou art too noble to conserve a life in base appliances. His outward sainted deputy, whose settled visage and deliberate word nips youth in the head, is yet a devil. His filth within being cast, he would appear a pond as deep as hell.
The Prenzi Angelo.
Oh, 'tis the cunning livery of hell. Dost thou think, Claudio, if I would yield him my virginity, thou mightst be free?
Heavens, it cannot be.
This night's the time that I must do what I abhor to name, or else thou diest tomorrow.
Thou shalt not do it.
Oh, were it but my life, I'd throw it down for your deliverance as frankly as a pin.
Thanks, dear Isabel.
Be ready, Claudio, for your death tomorrow.
Yes.
His immediate filial response is to say, you're not going to do that. That's terrible. She thanks him for that, and that could be the end of the scene. And another writer might have finished the scene there, where she goes, that's great, prepare yourself for death tomorrow, and off she goes. That is the point that Claudio begins to assess what the alternative might be, and in the same way, very tentatively puts to his sister, it is a sin, what you've been asked to do, but is it the worst sin in the world?
Is the affections in him that thus can make him bite the law by the nose when he would force it? Sure, it is no sin.
Which is the least?
If it were damnable, he being so wise Why would he, for the momentary trick, be perdurably fined? Oh, Isabel.
What says my brother?
Death is a fearful thing.
And shame in life are hateful.
Aye, but to die and go we know not where.
I've got two thoughts. One is about the nature of your relationship, because we don't hear very much about it. We know that Isabella has chosen to go into the Order of St. Clare's, which is a particularly strict order in which I think we discussed once you've entered the convent, you won't speak to your family again.
No.
You won't speak to men again.
No.
And you will stay cloistered within the convent. Yes. So effectively, the choice of going into the convent means that you'll never see your brother again.
Yes.
So this last bid attempt to speak to her is, as you say, the very final thing you'll ever say to her. So I wonder, in the context of that, whether you played it in a very familiar way, sense of the siblings being very loving towards each other, until the scene unravels. But I wonder what would happen if you have less of a relationship, if you have maybe not really even been close since you were 8, 9, 10, and what you later say about him, what's sort of revealed in what you say about him, is perhaps underlying what you actually think of his rather libertine behaviour.
Yes.
And maybe from your point of view, from Claudio's point of view, you've just lost a kind of vocabulary of conversation between you, and you haven't had that for a long time. So so the conversation's more stilted. You're more suspicious of each other and your agendas, maybe. I wonder whether that would be something interesting to play.
Tomorrow you set on.
Is there no remedy?
None. But such remedy as to save a head, to cleave a heart in twain.
But is there any?
Yes, brother, you may live. There is a devilish mercy in the judge, if you'll implore it, that will free your life, but fetter you till death.
Perpetual durance.
Why, just perpetual durance. A restraint, though all the world's vastidity you had, to a determined scope.
But in what nature?
And such a one as you consenting to it would bark your honour from that trunk you bear and leave you naked.
Let me know the point.
Oh, I do fear thee, Claudio, and I quake. Lest thou a feverous life shouldst entertain, and 6 or 7 winters more respect than a perpetual honour. Darest thou die? The sense of death is most in apprehension, and the poor beetle that we tread upon in corporal sufferance finds a pang as great as when a giant dies.
Why give you me this shame? Think you I can a resolution fetch from flowery tenderness? If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride and hug it in mine arms.
Thus spake my brother. There, my father's grave did utter forth a voice. Yes, thou must die. Thou art too noble to conserve a life in base appliances. This outward sainted deputy, whose settled visage and deliberate word nips youth in the head, is yet a devil. His filth within being cast, he would appear a pond as deep as hell.
The Prenzi Angelo.
Oh, 'tis the cunning livery of hell. Dost thou think, Claudio, if I would yield him my virginity, thou mightst be freed?
Oh, heavens, it cannot be.
This night's the time that I must do what I abhor to name, or else thou diest tomorrow.
Thou shalt not do it.
Oh, were it but my life, I'd throw it down for your deliverance as frankly as a pin.
Thanks, dear Isabel.
Be ready, Claudio, for your death tomorrow.
Yes. Has he affections in him that thus can make him bite the law by the nose when he would force it? Sure, it is no sin.
What were the differences for you both?
It made it so much more complex, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like the text would have told us if it was a relationship that says, look, do you know what's happened? I think she would have immediately said to him, possibly, this is what's happened to me. You know why I'm so conflicted with this, but this is how I feel. They could have been more honest with each other. I think there actually is a lack of honesty until it's sort of, everything is stripped out and everyone lays their hearts on the floor in the messiest way possible.
And rather, well, for me, rather than those shared lines being an indication of familiarity, it felt more like a pushing. You're not going the way I want you to. Why are you circumventing this? Like, just tell me straight. Why are you being this way?
They're both in their own world, sort of spinning, rather than communicating.
Yeah, and there's less of a sort of shared understanding or a kind of a shared love which should make the negotiation more open and more shared.